Yes.
And we're live. Welcome, everybody.
Hello. Hi.
Anybody's listening?
We're glad you're here.
We are.
So,
We've been gone for a while, but we're glad to be back.
Yep.
Pause it for a second.
Yeah.
Wait, pause. I don't even know how to pause a screenplay.
There you go. Just X.
Awesome.
Chat only. Zoom. Applied.
Boom.
Okay. So we are here tonight. I'm having some troubles with my Pyramid Head guy.
That's so sad because he's so awesome.
His legs are falling off.
Why?
Well, it's a Figma figure, so there's a lot of ball joints.
Yeah.
And it's just in a weird position because it's like under his bloody apron where the joint is. I'm just having trouble getting it up there to get the right angle on it. So, aside from that,
a lot of stuff has happened since we broadcast last.
yep. It's been a while since we have broadcast.
It has.
So,
It's good to be back in
It
the
is.
shrine.
yep.
I want to talk a little bit about the World of Warcraft expansion.
Okay.
Legion is the name.
So
of the
what?
expansion.
How many expansions is this now?
This will be number 6. Let's see. Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, and Legion. So 6.
Okay. Cool.
6.
And this one, I'm trying to think. This one kind of lets you play as the demons.
Yeah, so they're releasing a new
Basically.
class, which is the Demon Hunter,
Cool.
which is what Illidan Stormrage is.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the most exciting news, Dragon Craze!
Welcome,
Dragon Craze! We're so glad to have you!
We love Dragon
He
Craze.
says, oh, they're alive. We are alive. It's just been a really hard summer.
Yeah. We've kind of had a tough summer.
We're getting back in the groove.
Yep.
We're going to do 2 shows a week.
Yep. Can I gonna do a little bit of a hard reset?
Yeah, we are doing a hard reset.
Yeah.
You'll notice we don't have Gamer Mexi with us.
Yep.
It's kind of a limbo as to what's going on with him.
Yeah, he's figuring some stuff out.
But Gamer Colt, Gamer Lance, 2 nights a week. We're thinking Tuesday and Thursday, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do Tuesday and Thursday. I think that's fine. So, you
But
know.
anyway, and
yeah.
we're launching a website.
Yes.
So we'll have that to go along with it, too.
More to come.
More to come.
But I don't want to get you off topic.
Yeah, I know. I was in the middle of talking about Legion.
Let's get back to Legion.
So Illidan Stormrage is a demon hunter. He's got the horns and everything. It's kind of cool. I'm kind of torn a little bit because I feel like they're doing... It's just fan services. Like, we've always wanted to play as Illidan Stormrage, and so they're giving us that ability.
Okay.
But it's also really cool to get another hero class. So they won't be starting at level 0. They'll be kind of like the Death Knight was.
Okay.
They have some really unique abilities. They're the only ones that can do a double jump, which will be interesting. So yeah, it's kind of a rehash of Burning Crusade. Not really. They're just kind of revisiting those storylines with the Burning Legion.
Okay.
Warlords of Draenor was kind of another Burning Crusade, developing a lot of those storylines as well. So they're just kind of continuing on that story. It looks really cool. Illidan is coming back. They showed us a short cinematic trailer where Gul'dan kind of resurrected him. I'm not sure exactly what was happening in that trailer, but it looked like he was giving him some sort of life force.
Okay.
And that, of course, leads us to ask us, where's Me of Shadowsong, who is his jailer?
Okay.
So Gul'dan had to have done something to take her out of the equation. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I don't know. I think that WoW has a lot to give still.
Okay.
I think that their lore is incredibly deep and definitely worth exploring.
Well, and it's satisfying enough. I mean, how long has WoW been going now?
It came out in 2004, so this is 11 years.
That's a long time for an MMORPG.
It is a long time.
And arguably the first real...
Well, the first success
yeah.
of the genre. So it is definitely... And it's on our list.
Mm-hmm.
You know, WoW is on our list. And for good reason. You know, a lot of people say it's past its prime. I think they made a lot of good decisions with Warlords of Draenor. They brought back a lot of the characters that fans really love, like Dorotan and even Goramash, Hellscream. who is an amazing character. And the other part of the... Hey, Joannes.
Hey, Joannes.
Welcome.
Hi.
The other part of the trailer, the reveal that I thought was interesting is we're finally going to be able to wield some legendary artifacts. So there's certain items in WoW that have attained this mythical sense, like the Ashbringer sword, which is an amazing design. Tyrion Fordring has been the one wielding it for the
That's
time
cool
being.
because I don't play World of Warcraft, but the main thing that I associate with it is Frostmourne.
Yeah.
The Lich King sword,
So Frostmourne was shattered.
A cool design.
Yeah,
okay.
It was a really cool design. But we do have... There's 2 weapons that have been reforged from the shards of Frostmourne, nice. And they will be an artifact that we can play with
Very cool.
if you have a Death Knight. So the other really cool thing about it is...
Jovan says, quiet the hiatus. I
yes,
think he means quite. But we can quiet the hiatus,
we can.
I guess.
Actually, that's a good question. Can you guys hear us? How's the sound?
Yeah.
We moved the mic, so let us know how that's working. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see the lore that comes out of it. I'm really excited about the class halls that they're coming out with. I think there's a lot of good stuff. They've taken a lot of feedback from the community, and they're putting it into the game. And I think the game, for the most part, is getting better. It's never going to be vanilla, vanilla WoW, which is near and dear to my heart. But I also don't think that it's a worse game than it was. I don't know. I know they're losing players. I don't play anymore. It's not necessarily because I don't want to. I want to. I don't have the time to play an MMO. I don't have the time to devote to that. But yeah, I was really excited. I'm excited to see what they do with the expansion because I think it's going to be awesome.
Nice. Very cool.
Oh, awesome, Dragon Craze. We're glad you didn't unfollow as well.
That makes me feel happy.
Thank you for sticking around.
I love Dragon Craze.
I do too.
Thank you.
And we love Joe Vance.
Yep.
Even though all he talks about is GTA 2.
Yeah.
In other news...
Yeah.
We have a couple new figures.
Yeah, we do. I guess I could grab a few of them.
You can, yes.
Let's start with... I followed to listen to Batman, so hopefully they don't disappoint. Oh, I hope we don't disappoint either, because we love Batman.
We do love Batman.
Arkham Knight really made me upset.
Oh, we can talk about that later in the show.
Anyway, so yeah, we got a few new figures. This one is the one that I'm most excited about, because this is a figure that I've wanted for a long time.
It's a beautiful figure.
So I've wanted a Pyramid Head figure from Silent Hill 2 forever, and they've just never had one. Mm-hmm. They just don't make it, They've come out with a few statues that are really cool, but at $300 a pop.
Yeah.
It's not quite what I'm willing to drop.
Right, exactly.
So finally, the
Figma?
it's a Figma figure, but it was created by the Freeing company. I have another Figma figure. It's the Skyward Sword Link.
Okay.
But he was done by Good Smile Company. But they're still, they're Figma figures. That's what all the articulation and stuff. A lot of ball joints and stuff like that. So they're highly articulated.
And highly detailed.
Yeah, very detailed, very impressive. They come with a plethora of items. This guy alone came with 8 different hands that you can swap in and out. He comes with his spear weapon and even an extra neck piece, so you can jam the spear in his neck, which is a scene from the game.
Right.
And then obviously he comes with his great knife,
which is awesome,
which is iconic. And comes with a stand, that you can plug him into and get some really sweet poses out of. But it's just an impressive figure. And I think the cool thing about it is I was looking at this, and if you look underneath there, here, I'll just pop the head off because this is impressive.
That is. Yeah.
That's an amount of detail that you don't even see in the game.
Yeah.
And just the gooiness of what's underneath, the helmet.
The pyramid.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, very much.
I didn't think I could be creeped out anymore by Pyramid Head, and then they come out
with
this
totally
figure, and I get creeped out. Which is a testament to how awesome the character design is.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Dragon Craze wanted to know why it was a hard summer. I've had a lot of hard changes going on in my life.
Real busy.
I've gone from full-time to part-time, and I've been dealing with some family issues, and it's just been hard to get away to talk about games.
Yeah,
but I've definitely missed it.
Yeah, not that we haven't wanted to. It's just life kind of gets in the way sometimes.
And you and me have talked, but we haven't done a broadcast. But we are committed. We have recommitted ourselves to the show.
That's right. So,
and making it bigger and better than before.
yes.
So,
Yeah, so that's Pyramid Head.
he's beautiful. I really want to show them that one.
Okay, let's get...
Oh no! Don't worry about it, Dragon Craze. I just lots of personal stuff going on.
Okay, so here we have the Death of the Family Joker.
So
figure.
awesome.
And this is the one where, you know, in the New 52 comic arc, he had his face cut off by Dollmaker.
Yes.
Pinned it to the wall of Arkham Asylum and then disappeared.
For a good
For
long
a full year.
In the
full year.
In the comic, it was like he was gone for a while.
Yeah, it was a while. And then he comes back with a bang. I mean, he walks into the
he comes
GCPD.
back in Death of the Family.
Yeah, Death of the Family, walks into GCPD, kills all the cops in there except for Gordon, and takes his face back. And then starts wearing it as a mask and starts a new game with Batman to destroy the Bat Family. Because
it's such an amazing, amazing story.
You know, it's an essential Joker story.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Killing Joke, you've got Death of the Family. I mean,
Dragon Craze says it's a very smexy figure.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
what exactly does smexy mean?
Smooth and sexy is what I'm going to guess.
Nice. That's a very good guess.
Yeah, so...
Joe Vans also says if we were really committed, we'd add a donate button. We're getting there.
We'll get there.
We're getting there.
We're building.
We are. We have a lot of stuff planned.
We do. We've got some really cool stuff.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So we're excited. No, but I mean, this is a cool Joker figure. I mean,
he's so like, you know, in the comics, he's really creepy. Like my son who just turned 6 wanted me to read Death in the Family to him because we went to Hastings and they had the collector's edition that actually had the mask.
Yeah.
And I couldn't bring myself to do it because I'm like it's too disturbing for that age of kid.
It's definitely mature
and
reading.
This, you know, even with like the serrated knife, it's just so awesome. They paid a lot of attention to detail with the figure. Yeah. I mean, even just the face, if you guys can see the detail on that face. It's creepy.
If you're a fan of Batman comics, this is a story you need to read.
Yeah, you have to read
Death of the Family. I mean,
well, his little pliers. Too.
Not to be confused with Death in the Family. 2 different stories.
Which is another Joker story.
Yeah, which is a good one. I mean, that was the death of Jason Todd.
Are his pliers supposed to come out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is weird because he's got 2 sets of pliers. One that's part of the
weird.
mold and one that comes out. So it's kind of weird.
I have 3 kids, Dragon Craze.
Yeah.
A 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and one that just turned 1. Colt has 2.
I have 2. A 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. Yeah, and I mean, going back to what you're saying, I mean,
and we're married.
We are married. Not to each other.
No. Not to each other.
Yeah, my son was looking over my shoulder one day as I was reading Death of the Family, and I had to tell him no.
Yeah. It's that level of...
And he was like, but it's Batman. I was like, I know, but this isn't
something
that you should read.
Batman.
Yeah, it's not for kids.
Yeah.
But... Man, the writing
so awesome.
Scott Snyder, who wrote that, and he also wrote the Court of Owls.
Yeah. Well, Death in the Family happens right after Court of Owls.
It's all part of the same story. And
it's insane to me that, you know, they had Batman go through
what he went through.
All of that, you know, and crazy.
Some pretty epic Batman stories.
Yes.
You know, Joker even has a throwaway line where he references the Court of Owls. You know, he says something about, well, you know, he's been gone, and Batman and his entire family couldn't even handle a nest of filthy birds, as he calls it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I mean, it's very good Joker writing.
Very good.
Creepy, but he's still
and
funny.
I mean, not that we want to talk about Arkham Knight, but I enjoyed the quips that Joker had in Arkham Knight.
It was the highlight of the game, honestly.
Because there was nothing else to the game. I mean, if it wasn't a Joker thing, it was a Batmobile thing, and we talked about that, but
the Bat Tank.
Yes. Anyway, tonight we have a treat for you guys.
We do. So
I think the last time we streamed this game was when it came out.
Yeah.
We did an unboxing and we did some first impressions. And now you've actually beat. So we're talking about Bloodborne.
Yep. It took me since April to finish the game.
Is it hard?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's
on the scale of Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls, Demon Souls. Where's it lay?
I'd say comfortably in between. Not quite as difficult as Dark Souls.
Okay.
And it's comfortably between Demon Souls and Dark Souls.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, it's difficult. It took some time to get through it. There's parts where I really did get stuck on, and they took me a long time. I have to put it down for a few days and walk away from it, come back, try my hand at it again, and then progress.
Dragon Craze mentioned if he had the body type of the Joker, he would totally cosplay him.
Oh, nice.
Which you could totally.
I think I could. I should do it one of these days.
Just spoiler alert. I got tickets to the Salt Lake Comic Con.
Ooh, nice.
And I'm really excited to go.
So are you going to go in costume?
I don't know.
Our friend Chris James, you know Chris James, right?
Yes, I do.
He goes every year.
Yeah.
And he takes his
dresses
little
up
family and dresses up. It's really kind of cool.
I'm excited. It's my first Comic Con. The reason I'm going is because Alex Kingston, who plays River Song on Doctor who I named my daughter after, is going to be there.
See, and that's disappointing me. I always like to pretend.
No, well, I named her after
River.
Yeah, from Serenity, from Firefly.
Okay.
From what?
I like to pretend that she was named after Rivers Cuomo, who is the lead singer of Weezer.
Right.
But I don't think that's what you did.
No.
But I do have a friend that lives up in Boise, and he named his son River after Rivers Cuomo, because he's a huge Weezer fan.
Well, there you go. No, I named her after the two really strong female
and that's cool.
leads in the
really
shows
cool.
that I like. River. What are their last names?
You'd know more than I would.
Tam.
Yeah.
River Tam from Firefly, and River Song from Doctor Who. And I also have a Kaylee, which I named after a Kaylee from Firefly.
It's very cool.
Anyway, she's going to be there. I'm really excited to go, and Becca and I are going, and who knows, maybe we'll dress up.
That would be fun. For Halloween, I went.
Melody's going to be in Salt Lake City.
That's really cool. For Halloween, I dressed up as Scarecrow. For the church party, I dressed up as Nathan Drake.
Okay, yeah.
But then
I can see that.
Halloween night, when we went out trick-or-treating, I dressed up as Scarecrow. And Cash was
the
dressed up
Arkham
as...
Asylum Scarecrow?
I kind of blended it. I kind of blended the Arkham Asylum, because I had, the syringes and stuff, and I got pretty clever with it. I broke some glow sticks and filled up the syringes with it.
Oh,
and
right
had
on.
a tube running all the way up to my bag, and so it glowed in the dark and everything. And
that's awesome.
It was kind of cool looking. I had a big trench coat on, so it was kind of a mix between that version of Scarecrow, but then I also had on the hat.
Okay.
Kind of the animated series comic version of Scarecrow. So kind of a mix of both worlds.
Right on.
But it was cool. And then my oldest son Cash, he went as the Heath Ledger Joker.
Nice.
We dyed his hair green and painted his face up.
That's awesome.
It was fun.
Kind of like your little guy.
Yep.
I like that one.
Yeah, you gave that to me.
I did
and
for your birthday.
So
Joe Vans wanted to talk about the Dark Souls 3 announcement.
Oh, I'm stoked about it.
I haven't seen it yet. Okay, wait. That just reminded me.
Okay.
Deadpool. What do you think?
We talked a little bit about it, and I'm excited for it. My wife's excited for it, for one thing. That's kind of her type of... She likes assassins and things like that, and she loves Ryan Reynolds, too. I like Ryan Reynolds, too. I think he's a great actor.
I think he's
and I think this is the perfect role for him.
I do, too. It will allow him to be his sarcastic self.
Yes. And I think it's appropriate that it has a hard R rating. I don't think they could make a good Deadpool movie without that.
Right.
I probably will be seeing it because my wife wants to see it. So I was pleased by it, I guess. I'm not a huge Deadpool fan. I don't know a lot about him other than the basics.
I do. I like Deadpool. I think he's one of the more interesting comic book characters.
He definitely has interesting writing because he's self-aware that he's a comic character breaks the fourth wall. I mean, that's cool writing.
It is really cool. I'm not sure if I'll see the movie just because of the gore.
Yeah, and the language.
Not really into that kind of stuff. But
and I understand that.
Yeah, I think they will do an amazing job with it, and I think it's a good sign of comic book movies tackling darker themes than what we've seen in the past. So I think it's opening a good door for us to explore some more adult themes in these comic book movies. So I think it'll be good for that.
I like how we kind of...
Yeah, the Green Lantern. Just don't make it green.
Or animated.
Or animated. I thought that was awesome.
That's funny. But then he also, I think, before the trailer dropped, the day before he had like a trailer announcement.
He had the teaser where he was sitting like this,
and he was talking.
I loved it.
And he mentioned the fact that it's coming from the same studio that inexplicably sewed his mouth shut in X-Men Origins.
Yeah,
Wolverine Origins. So
well, and it was the same. I mean, it was Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, same actor. Which we won't talk about that because that was just a terrible decision for that character.
Well, it was a terrible decision to make the movie to begin with.
Right.
The standalone Wolverine movies are not my favorite X-Men movies.
Yeah.
So.
Although I did watch Days of Future Past this week, finally.
The Rogue cut?
No, just the original one.
And what'd you think?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I
thought it was a good show.
I was impressed by First Class. I've never been an X-Men fan, so it's not.
I think
always
if I had to rank them, First Class is my favorite.
First Class was cool, and I liked it because it didn't deal with the heavy hitters of the X-Men.
Yeah,
Wolverine,
or Cyclops, Storm.
No, it focused on the original. And that was cool. And and so when Days of Future Past,
although they did kind of break the whole, with Havoc, because Havoc is Scott Summers' brother.
Yeah.
So there was kind of that weird.
Yeah,
they did some weird stuff there, but overall, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and so when Days of Future Past was announced, I wasn't too excited because it looked like another Wolverine story.
Yeah.
And not that I have anything against Wolverine, but let's move on past Wolverine.
Yeah.
But
he's dead. He's dead now.
Yeah. I thought they handled it. Is that? Oh yeah, in the
comic books, they killed him off.
That's right. So I thought they did a good job with Days of Future Past. So it was cool.
Exactly. Should we get to our topic? We started.
Let's do it. Oh,
we started
Dark Souls 3. Yes,
Dark Souls 3.
I'm excited.
Okay, we're good.
Cool announcement trailer. Okay, let's go into this. So
let's do it.
I did I recorded some footage of my gameplay. So we'll just let that play while we talk.
Yeah, so what are we... Wait, hold up. I gotta switch the...
Okay.
Just a second, guys. I gotta switch the screen.
We'll be back. Riley 1's here. Hello, Riley 1. So we'll just let that play while we talk.
Yeah, so what are we...
Wait,
hold up. Hey, Riley 1.
Okay.
Just a second, guys. I gotta switch the screen.
We'll be back. So where we're at now, this is Old Yarn.
Just a second. I want to know... Follow up with Dragon Chris.
Okay.
What are the two sagas you want to see? I'm very interested in. Hey, Riley 1. Because I have two. Well, I would like to see a redo of the Dark Phoenix. I want to know
Saga.
Because I think that one's amazing. What are the two sagas you want to see? I'm very interested. But
I would like to see a good Ninja Turtle movie based on the original comics.
That would be awesome.
I think the closest we've ever come was the very first live-action movie. I mean, it followed a lot of the good comic beats. The latest,
although I will say,
movie,
I'm really impressed with the Nickelodeon animated series.
I love the animated series.
It's awesome.
I think it's the best incarnation of the Turtles we've had yet. Honestly, it's better than the original cartoons.
My son loves that stupid catchphrase.
Latest Booyakasha.
Booyakasha. He says it all the time.
I was worried about that, that they're getting rid of Cowabunga, but he dropped Cowabunga in one of the episodes.
Did he?
The Mondo Gecko episode. It's better than the original cartoon. So it was kind of cool.
Flashpoint and Death of Superman.
I think they've tried to do twice. I think they've tried to do Death of Superman before. It's kind of one of those ones that's kind of been in production hell, where it never really quite gets off the ground.
Okay.
So how's that?
Now, just so I can make sure that the...
Okay. I'm talking to test the sound. Hopefully it works and I'm not echoing.
Turn the game on so we can see.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that
Does it look okay?
Okay, that should be better.
Okay. And let us know if the game sound is too high.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. So, all right. So basically, the area I'm at in the game here is Old Yarnum, and in the game's lore, you start out in the city of Yarnum. You're a hunter. There's this weird epidemic going around where it turns people into beasts, and eventually you get to Old Yarnum, which was sealed off and burned. Because to try to contain the epidemic, the illness. But obviously it didn't work. So that's where I'm at now in the game is Old Yarnum.
Okay. So what are we about to see you do?
So I go through, kill a bunch of guys, and then go into a boss fight.
With what boss?
the blood-starved beast.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it.
Pretty creepy.
Pretty
I think it's like the third, depending on how you go through the game, it's the third or fourth boss of the game. So it's fairly early into the game.
Okay.
But
and you died.
Pretty cool. Yeah, I died.
So how many times did you die?
In this playthrough?
No, just overall.
Overall? Ooh, wow. Easily 100, I'd say.
Oh, nice.
I love
your robes.
So this is church guard.
It's nice.
This is
kind of priesty.
Yeah.
And your weapon.
It's very the classic saw cleaver with a torch.
The saw cleaver.
I forewet my pistol, my firearm, because in this area there's enemies that are afraid of fire, and they kind of cower away from you, so it gives you a little bit of an edge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so there's a lot of smoke in this area, a lot of burning and general creepiness.
So a lot of these statues, talk to me about this. Do we learn anything about the statues? Who created them? Anything like that?
No, they don't really talk about the architecture of the game. They're just
there.
It's just kind of a general creepiness vibe to it.
Okay. And these are like werewolf zombie things?
Yeah, kind of a... Once humans, they transformed into some type of beast type thing.
Right.
So, and then you've got these other things that are cloaked. And they're not quite beasts, they're more kind of ghouls. They inflict poison damage if they hit you and stuff.
Okay. I love how the cleaver opens.
Yeah. And most of the weapons have a trick. They're called trick weapons. And they have alternate forms like that, which is cool. Like, there's a sword that, its main form is just a quick long sword type attack.
Right.
But then when you switch it, they put it in the sheath, and then the sheath attaches to the sword itself and becomes like a great sword. And there's another one similar to it where the sheath is actually this big stone hammer.
Sweet.
So, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's like a rapier type sword that has a gun attached to it, which is kind of cool.
Oh, Jovan says turn the sound down on the TV.
Okay.
Well, I hope we entertain you, Riley One.
Yeah.
We don't want you to be bored. We can tell jokes. You think you know a good joke? Can you tell us a joke in the Batman voice?
Gamer joke. Let me think. What's a good joke? I have a dad joke.
I love dad jokes.
So,
do it in the Batman voice.
I'm trying not to laugh. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef.
I think that needs to become a tradition.
Tell a joke in
a Batman voice.
I've got plenty of cow jokes.
Oh, well, you were birthing cows.
Yeah. I helped a cow give birth to a calf today.
Yes,
that's what I did. I'm a farmer.
I love it. I love it when Cole births cows.
So, and then here's some straight on werewolves.
Those are creepy looking werewolves.
Oh yeah, they're pretty awesome.
Okay, so give me a little bit of an idea of there's this curse.
Yeah, so I'll just let it play. So yeah, there's this curse covering this, this town of Yarnum, and and you're a hunter. You go out, kill beasts and stuff like that. But everything kind of revolves around blood.
It's Bloodborne.
Yeah, there's a church. They're called the Church of the Good Blood. And basically, they found this type of blood that has healing properties. And go ahead.
The Christian Bale joke tickled me for some reason. I thought that was funny. Oh, man.
That's a good one. I like that.
That's a good one, Joe.
I like that one.
That's a great one.
Yeah, so you've got this blood that has healing properties, and it's doled out by the Church of the Good Blood, which they kind of set themselves up in a position of power because they found this blood, but it had a weird side effect of where it slowly turned people into beasts, even though it does cure illnesses.
All right.
It doesn't specify what illnesses it cures, but then eventually, take too much of it, people start turning into beasts. And so the hunters were formed as kind of a secret society type thing. They're hidden away, and they'd go out and hunt beasts, kind of try to keep it on the down low, Eventually, the church created its own form of hunters, and so the original hunters were disbanded, and now there's the church hunters, and they were kind of more out in the open, and they actually included the citizens to help in the hunt.
And is that what you are?
No, you are one of the. You're actually drawn into the original Hunters Guild.
Okay.
The Hunters Workshop is what they call it. That was hidden away.
Okay.
But then it goes even deeper than that. So where the healing blood, where it comes from, is the original inhabitants of this Yharnam. They found tombs underneath the city, and so they started exploring, and they found blood of the Great Ones, which are cosmic beings.
Right. I read a little bit about this.
Yeah. So they found this blood, realized that it had these healing properties, but as a side effect, it did some really creepy things. So what you're doing, the original hunter of the workshop, who formed the original Hunter's Workshop, he has pulled you into what they call the Hunter's Dream. So it's not the original Hunter's Workshop as it exists. It's a dream type thing. So you're bound to this dream. So when you die, you always end up going back to the dream.
Okay.
And then you are kind of reborn again in the world because you're bound to this dream. So it's not a physical thing. It's exists on a different plane. Which is kind of, I mean, obviously, there's other better explanations of it than I'm giving out there. That part of the lore. But basically what he's trying to do is he's trapped in this dream, and so he wants to wake up, so he is pulling hunters into the dream to hunt the Great Ones, hunt the cosmic beings, because he feels that if they are killed, then it will free him from the dream, basically.
I have to agree with Dragon Crazy. So the character reminds her of Van Helsing.
Oh yeah, it has a
very much so.
A very big Van Helsing vibe.
Big Van Helsing vibe.
So now we're going into the Bloodstarred Beast boss fight.
Beyond not the Van Helsing of that crazy weird movie.
Yeah, no, the original Van Helsing.
The Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
But the original.
What Van Helsing should have been.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a creepy character. I mean, it's got skin.
So this is the boss.
Yeah, this is the boss. Doesn't look too intimidating because it's not as big as some of the other bosses, but it's quick, it's fast, and
you had to call in friends.
I had to call in friends to help me because I was having trouble. This is also New Game Plus, so this is my second time fighting this boss.
Oh, okay.
So a little bit more difficult.
So really creepy. So talk to me a little bit about these. The bosses, are they special monsters? So they used to be humans, but they took too much blood and they were transformed?
Yeah, basically.
Is there specific lore behind them?
There is. Not so much the Bloodstarred Beast boss. This is just kind of a beast that got way out of hand, and so they locked it away in this church, this old church, where you're fighting it. And obviously it's blood-starved, so obviously it's trying to eat you. But there's others. There's like you come across characters who are members of the church that have transformed into beasts. There's one called Vicar Amelia, and she transforms into this really big beast, and you fight her in the Grand Cathedral of the main city. There's another one. It's I think one of the first bosses you come across is the Cleric Beast, which he was a member of the church.
You fought that one the first time we played it. So it's kind of centering around the church.
Yeah.
Being kind of corrupted.
Yeah. Not necessarily corrupted, because it was kind of two different schools of thought. So when they found in the tombs underneath the city, when they found this old blood, this evidence of these greater beings, scholars came along, and some of them wanted to commune with the Great Ones, with the cosmic beings. Others wanted to harness the power and ascend to become great beings. Basically. So there's two schools of thought, and they actually kind of split. And so there's one guy who went off and he formed the human church, and thought that through that they could use the blood of the Great Ones to kind of ascend people eventually into being these cosmic beings.
Okay.
The side effect of that was no, that didn't happen. They actually
turned into these
things. The other one, his adage was, fear the old blood, because we don't understand it, and he sought to gain insight. But that's where the Lovecraft stuff starts coming into it. The more insight into these great beings' existence and what they are, the more insane you go. Right. And so you come across characters who have
Which
so
school
much
of thought
insight.
is your character?
Kind of middle ground.
Okay.
But you obviously use it now. Is the blood that we're talking about here, like you're getting your blood echoes and all that kind of stuff? Is that the blood of the old
not
gods?
the blood of, no, it's just blood of all the whatever you kill in the game.
Okay.
And but there's kind of the hint that the blood echoes you get feeds the Great Ones. And so, eventually, at the end of the game, the final boss, you fight the original hunter, who drew you into the dream originally, and then you have a choice. You can either accept, and he frees you from the dream and says, you survived the hunt, you awoke to a new morning, or you kill him, and you become the curator of the dream to call in new hunters, or even further, you summon one of the cosmic beings, the moon presence, as it's called. And it descends out of a blood moon, has all these tentacles and stuff. Very, very elegant.
That sounds badass. Do you have video of that?
I do not.
Oh, man.
I didn't get video of that, which I was disappointed in.
Maybe on another show.
Well, the game actually blocked me from recording that.
Why?
I think because it was an end boss, and they didn't want spoilers. Some games do that. I mean, you'll notice that as you're playing, they'll say, hey, gameplay recording is blocked.
So that's kind of what it did to me. Couple of questions. Did you get the legit ending?
Yes.
For the game?
Yep. I defeated the moon presence. I killed the Great One, and because of that, because I killed the Great One, I ascended and became an infant Great One. So the game ends, and I'm like this weird slug thing.
That's cool.
And I'll evolve eventually into becoming
something.
Yeah.
And then Riley One wants to know why people are greedy for power. That's a great question. I think this game deals a little bit with that. What happens when you...
It kind of shows the dangers of delving into things you don't fully understand for monetary gain, for power, for whatever. Obviously, some guys start turning into beasts because of it.
Except that others
go crazy.
Your own character is kind of having its own battle with power. And it comes out okay in the end for them.
Yeah, luckily. I mean, you use these blood echoes to grow in power. I mean, it's how you level up and stuff.
And it's actually a really great question because it seems like almost every game, any RPG anyway, kind of has this drive for becoming more powerful. I mean, any kind of game that has a level up system is kind of pushing you to want more power.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a good question.
That it's kind of built into our gaming even. It's that universal of a theme. Praise Allah.
There we go.
Yeah, I agree. It's human nature to want more power.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's...
But are you human?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk about one of the other, relating this, getting back to what Game Ledger is all about.
Okay.
This game and Order 18... What was it? 18...
Oh, the Order 1812? No, 18... What was it? The Order.
The Order.
We'll just call it The Order.
Came out recently. Kind of similar to this, kind of similar gameplay a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean it's a little bit different, but I'm close enough that
the
I'm
basic idea.
Similar.
Yeah, there's beasts and stuff. There's more going on to the worlds that
you're a hunter.
You're a hunter. You're taking out these beasts.
It has the whole King Arthur kind of thing vibe to it, but
which was kind of cool. Story wise, the Order. I mean, you're part of the original Knights of the Round Table,
right?
Which was kind of cool. But you're charged.
You're playing as Galahad, aren't you?
Yeah, you play as Galahad. And you're basically keeping the Scourge of Beasts.
1886.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, you're keeping the Scourge of Beasts at bay from.
So kind of similar. I mean, this one has a lot more Lovecraft and creep.
Well, and I think that's what I was pleasantly surprised about this, because when I went into this, I was like, okay, I'm hunting werewolves. I expected vampires to show up at some point, but it didn't. All of a sudden, I started seeing these things that looked very freaky.
Right.
Huge things with tons of tentacles and stuff like that. And
right.
I was like, okay.
Very Cthulhu-esque.
Yeah, this is going a little bit further than I initially expected.
Right.
So it's really cool.
Talk to me about your experience with the two games and which one you feel is the better experience and where they would fall in terms of our list. What game would you compare them to?
I'll start with The Order. I wouldn't include that on our list because the story is decent, but as far as it being a game, there's not a lot of gameplay involved. I mean, I had fun playing it. It was a fun experience, but I'll never play it again. Very short, very basic gameplay elements. There's some shooting and stuff like that, but it's a lot of quick time events and stuff.
It's an awesome sword you're
wielding. Oh yeah, see, that's when I was telling you about where it transforms into this huge great sword.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Bloodborne, it sits up there. I think I actually enjoyed Bloodborne more than I did Dark Souls.
But not Dark Souls 2.
I like Dark Souls 1 more than I do 2. So I'll
really?
say
Okay.
I enjoyed Bloodborne more than Dark Souls 2. Probably, I'd say it's on the same level as Dark Souls.
Okay.
My enjoyment of it. What I like about this is it got away from the medieval fantasy setting of Dark Souls, and it went very gothic, very
Oh, it's incredibly
Victorian,
gothic.
and I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the character designs. I mean,
Even
that's
this,
creepy.
what is
I mean,
this in the middle?
creepy.
Is like this succubus hanging.
Yeah, just crucified,
Weirdness.
basically. Yeah, so this is an old dilapidated church. It's definitely more horror themed. And so I was drawn in immediately because I love horror. I love the Victorian time period.
Riley one wants to know if we finished the top 50 games everyone should know about. Just a small tweak. It's the top 50 games every gamer should experience.
Yes.
Which is a little different. And yeah, we did.
We did.
But it continues to evolve. I mean,
it's an evolving list.
My list has changed a little bit over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a topic that we continue to revisit, and that's what we want to talk about on our show is these 50 games and how new games coming out, hold up against the epitome of gaming, so much as to speak, is what our list is.
Yes.
These essential gaming experiences that we feel people should have. So what would you feel like if you had to sum up your experience with Bloodborne? What would you say about it, and how would you compare it to some of the games on our list?
Okay, so this was a game that I expected to enjoy just because I like the Dark Souls type of gameplay. I didn't expect it to become my current favorite game of the year.
Okay. Is it now?
It is.
Awesome.
I was, I'll briefly touching on Arkham Knight. That was a game I had a lot of high hopes for and was really looking forward to.
So did I.
I expected that to be my gaming experience of the year. But it wasn't. Far from that. This one, after I finished Arkham Knight, I went back to this and played it some more. Really, really, really got into it. And kind of fell in love with it, And it kind of had the same effect that Dark Souls did on me, where it just kind of sticks with me. And I found myself constantly kind of thinking about the story, thinking about the lore of it, researching the lore of it, trying to find as much as I can about it,
You died.
I died. So, I think this is a game I would probably end up putting on our list.
Okay.
But I don't...
Replacing what game?
See, and that's what I'm not sure of yet. Because I don't think... I would almost say that I think I would put this one as a hyphenated attachment to Dark Souls.
Okay.
Because obviously similar games, built from the same cloth. Just different, stories, different themes.
Right.
But still very, very similar.
So one of the other games, another similar game, Witcher 3, which came out this year.
Yeah, Witcher 3 came out. I haven't finished Witcher 3 yet. I've enjoyed what I've played of it. It's a lot of fun. But to me, I think Witcher 3, as fun as it is, it doesn't really break from the mold as your basic action RPG. I haven't seen it do anything too different. It's a pretty safe game in that aspect. It doesn't challenge gameplay mechanics. It doesn't challenge storytelling very much. It's another good, solid action RPG, which we have plenty of.
Yeah.
So, is that kind of what you're asking? Is that?
Yeah. So, this is an action RPG as well.
Yeah, this is an action RPG. Definitely. The standout thing about this game and Dark Souls, as I've said before, is the difficulty level. These are basic enemies, cannon fodder, and I'm having trouble with them.
Right.
And that's, But the cool thing about these is it makes you feel like you've actually accomplished something when you do progress.
So beyond the setting, what do you feel that this game adds to the Dark Souls formula that makes it better? Were there things that you didn't like?
I think overall I like this one better than Dark Souls in terms of gameplay. The storytelling wasn't as obtuse as it was in Dark Souls.
Well, it seems very underplayed.
Yeah.
like most of the storytelling, from what I can gather, is in item descriptions.
Yeah, you got to search for the story.
Okay.
Which is cool. I like that.
Yeah, and that's different because we go back to Arkham Knight. That story just sucked because they refused to tell a good story, and they could have.
Yeah.
This one, you have to search for the story, but it's there, and when you find it and you start understanding, you start,
Well, and I think just my experience with this game, it kind of leads you to wanting to know more because you have these weird architectural
it's
things. The world is very intriguing visually, which leads you to think, okay, it's going to be intriguing from a lore standpoint as well.
It kind of pulls you in, and it says, this is why I'm beautiful. This is why I deserve a second look.
Right.
And that's a good game, in my opinion, because it uses everything at its disposal to say, hey, I'm worth an extra look. It doesn't just throw...
Well, and you can tell, even just watching these videos, you can tell the developers really spent a lot of time crafting this world, which I think is, something worthy of our time to experience.
Yeah.
To touch on Joe Vance, he asked we should play around with ways to stream in 1080p. We're working on that. There's, been discussions of a more powerful rig to be able to support our desires, and I'm excited. I'm thinking the show will definitely continue to grow and progress throughout the rest of the year.
So I think so. Too.
I'm excited for you guys.
We've got good things in
Thank
store.
you for joining us.
Yeah.
So awesome. Talk a little bit more about the lore.
Okay, so it helps, if you really want to appreciate this game, it helps to have a good understanding of Lovecraft horror. It deals a lot. For
you guys that don't know, H.P. Lovecraft.
It deals a lot with the insignificance of humankind.
Right.
In the face of, it deals with these ideas of, these great cosmic beings who just kind of use people as pawns on a chessboard, and even, and for people to even get a glimpse of what these things are drives them to insanity. And that game deals with this too, There's characters in this game where just them spotting you drives your character into a frenzy and damages you, like oftentimes killing you in one frenzy blast, basically. It's almost like its own, because there's poison. You can get poisoned by different enemies and stuff like that, and it's a slow build up. But then frenzy, it works on the same level, but it's like instantaneous. Your bar is filled up if you don't have the proper things against it. And so having an understanding of that eldritch horror really, I think, made the game more satisfying for me, because we don't see a lot of eldritch horror in video gaming.
Although
we're seeing more lately.
Lately, it's been a real insurgence, which is awesome.
And so, and going back to what I said before, that was one of the big surprises I had about this game, because I went in expecting to experience a kind of a basic werewolf hunting type game. Obviously, I thought it would have a little bit more to it because it's made by From Software, and they really take care to craft a good story where you have to search for it, like we've been talking. But then when it all of a sudden, and I won't even say it's a twist, but when all of a sudden you realize that there's these bigger things at play in the game world, they're there all along.
Right, you just can't see them.
And that's what's cool about it. If you have in Dark Souls you had humanity. In this game you have what's called insight, and you find madman's skulls all over town, and you can consume them to gain further insight. When you come across a new boss, you gain insight. When you discover a new area, you gain insight. And so your character is growing in insight as you experience the world, which is a cool gameplay mechanic.
Yeah, that is cool.
And then all of a sudden,
so can you revisit areas and learn new things?
Yeah, so you revisit areas, you see these huge Cthulhu-type monsters hanging off the buildings, causing the citizens of the town
that you
to go
couldn't
crazy.
see before.
They've always been there. You just didn't see them the first time because your insight level wasn't high enough.
Riley One's got to go. Thank you for joining us, Riley One.
Thanks, Riley One. Please come back.
We will be back on Tuesday.
Yeah.
For you to join us.
So, there's a lot to the lore to really talk about. A lot of questions it kind of brings up.
Okay.
I'm still
So what are the overall themes of your the experience you had with the game? What were questions that you were left with pondering after you beat the game? Did it change the way you saw gaming? What gaming was possible of doing?
Yeah, it made me think about. I think we touched a little bit on this when we first were talking about Lovecraft themes in gaming. Our first Bloodborne night. If you take the example of a game leading you through its world, so you're playing a game, you're kind of being controlled in a sense by the game itself to experience what it has to offer.
Right.
And that's kind of what the Lovecraft themes are about, is that
who's really in control?
Yeah, we're not in control. There's something else going on that we don't quite understand. And I think this game does a really good job of kind of playing with that expectation that we have as gamers. We go into a game expecting to experience a story.
To be told something.
Whether we enjoy that story or not is kind of...
Like, one a game that keeps coming to me is Skyrim. And even though that game is ultimately open-ended, you do whatever you want, there's still, for that first little bit, until you get past that first town, you're still being forced into the introduction of this world. And from what I can tell here, you're not really told anything.
No. You're just dropped in the middle of it all.
And I wouldn't even go so far as to say that this is an open world game.
No.
Because it doesn't seem like you can go where you want. You're in certain areas and you progress through certain areas. But even Skyrim, there's still a lot of interaction with people, like doing the Dark Brotherhood quest, that kind of stuff. You're still kind of being forced into a set story.
Yeah.
Where with this, it seems like you're kind of discovering the story for yourself. And if you aren't wanting to dig too much, you aren't wanting to read item descriptions, if you aren't wanting to do any of that, you're not going to experience.
You're not going to come away with something.
So it's kind of like you're like real life, so to speak. I mean, we don't really have stories that are forced upon us. But the more we dig, and the more that we explore, and the more we understand, we find those stories, or we find those themes throughout our lives. So it does kind of seem more like a lifelike representation of what it would be like to be thrown into one of these worlds.
And also going back to the open world thing, it has the veneer of being open world.
Yeah, it does.
You can go. Every area in the game is interconnected, and you can reach it all on foot. There's no magical transport where all of a sudden, okay, this is where the story needs us to be, so all of a sudden we're going to be in this other part of the game area, No, everything's interconnected. You just can't reach it initially, and I think that's the trick of the game. It makes you feel like you have all this control of the game world, yet it still funnels you down a very specific path for the most part. And that's a really cool idea, to me. I love Skyrim because it is open-worlded, but not open-worlded, open-ended. But it's you get lost in the side quests. You get lost in doing your own thing. You rarely finish the main story of the game unless you force yourself to do it. You're like, oh yeah, I've got to go back and
I've got to go back and figure out what was going on with the Dragonborn.
And I think that's the big difference. With this game, it gives you that idea that you're in control. Go explore, do what you want. But we're gonna, you're subtly going to be guided by the hand down this narrow path,
right? And
you're going to discover things, and that's a cool concept to me, and I think it plays into the main theme of what the game is talking about with these eldritch sensibilities, if that makes sense,
right?
And this one, and again,
this is a great outfit, by the way. It's very like mutineer, buccaneer, piratey kind of. Awesome. The boots are awesome.
Yeah, I love it, and I love the tattered cloak
and the is it a saber? What kind of?
Yeah, it's called the Chikage. It's basically kind of a rapier / katana.
Okay.
But you can actually the transform mode is you coat it in your own blood, and it gives it additional powers that way because it drinks the blood.
Oh wow!
Basically,
so kind of a Masamune.
Yeah, a little bit.
Demon sword. Interesting.
So, you know,
I want to talk about one of the things about this game that we haven't touched on yet.
Okay.
That I think is probably the best part of the game is there isn't so much of a soundtrack as there is an atmospheric noise.
It's very ambient.
Yeah.
And it's very...
And it does draw you in. To me, anyway, watching it, just hearing it, there's not music.
Mm-hmm.
It's just these creepy noises happening.
So there's a good example of what's going on. These are things that you don't see at the beginning of the game.
Right. And this is the Cthulhu creatures that you're talking about.
Yeah. And they're everywhere once you discover them.
And they're creepy.
Yeah. Very creepy.
I mean, look at that. That is creepy.
In fact, when I was playing this, I was afraid to move because I didn't know what this thing was going to do. And so I backed up, got a better look at it, and it's like, okay, I've got to go through here, through the door that he's guarding.
And he's going to get you.
And I was like, is he going to attack me? And so I basically decided just to run through.
Do you ever fight one of those things?
Yes.
Oh, that would be an awesome fight.
The boss's name is Amygdala.
That's a great name. I was going to say.
The amygdala is a part of your brain that deals with creative juices.
Yeah.
So.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I love that attack.
That was graphic.
Yeah, so that's what they call a visceral attack. Very appropriate.
I can see why they call it a visceral attack.
So, yeah, in Dark Souls, you could use your shield to parry enemies. In this game, you use your gun to stagger them.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest differences between the two, right? This is a completely offensive game.
Oh, yeah.
Dark Souls is very defensive.
And that's
this game is very much in-your-face, aggressive offense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at these things. There's another one right there. I mean, they're everywhere.
That is creepy.
And it's creepy. You've got that blood moon in the background, you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful, creepy but beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, it's a cool setting. I mean, all the
very
architecture. See, I was paying attention
to
the environment. I didn't see this guy creep up on me.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
So do you learn more about your character? Is your character's backstory revealed, or is it just they just let you be kind of an everyman so that you can just experience the world?
There's no, it's not, and I think that plays into the theme of the game.
Right.
My character is insignificant in the overall scheme of things. It's a means to an end of these greater beings.
Right.
And I mean, see, you got one, you've got two over there. You got the one that was guarding the door that we walked in. You got this creepy dead body with a cage on its head sitting in a chair.
Don't give up. That is creepy.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
So there's a lot... I mean, they've put a lot into the atmosphere of this game. And so one of the games that I personally was incredibly disappointed with on the PlayStation 1 was Vampire Hunter D.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a fan of that series?
I'm not a fan, but I know what it is.
I am a major fan of the books. I think the books are amazing. The anime is okay. It's not my favorite. I think they did a lot to kind of tone them down, even though the animes are rated. They're rated R anime movies.
Yeah.
But, I kind of felt like they didn't do the best job in representing D, but they made a game out of D, and it was just this horrendous, slow-paced dungeon crawl. Very, very similar gameplay to this, but so much worse. So many flaws. And I feel like if we got a Vampire Hunter D movie, or game, Vampire Hunter D game like this, I think there would be a lot of people who would be interested in this series.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of the themes that this game plays on, a lot of the ideas that are in Vampire Hunter D fit very well in this type of format. Mm-hmm. So that would be something that I would enjoy, is seeing a real Vampire Hunter D movie or a game that was visceral like this. Because it is such an amazing setting that the author created with that series. But I think there's a lot of there aren't a lot of well done settings like this. You know, the gothic horror Dracula. I think you could do a really cool, and even I guess that's a good point. So how do you feel this game compares to Lords of Shadow? Because they're kind of similar.
Yeah, I really like Lords of Shadow.
The first one, the second one.
I haven't played the second one. Critically it didn't do too great, but the first one I really liked because it was a different approach to the Dracula story, a very different approach to the Castlevania story.
Yeah,
but it had that very dark, foreboding, gothic feel to it.
And Gabriel was such a compelling character.
He was. He was tortured.
I was very much engaged with Gabriel.
It drew you in. And, what I liked about Castlevania is one of the same things I like about this is everything is drenched in atmosphere.
Yes.
Just this simple area. All I'm doing is running around killing these respawning enemies. And I just love the sound design. I love the creepiness of the enemies. They've got these hairy arms and stuff. But everything you do, you just get drenched in blood, basically. It has a very appropriate feedback to what you're doing.
Right.
It's not a clean game.
Right.
As if you were doing this in real life.
It's very gritty.
You're not going to walk away with your cloak sparkling clean,
Yeah.
And I like that it has that feel to it, They paid attention to that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same way that Lords of Shadow was, kind of had this, I won't say dirty, but kind of a
gritty.
It just had this gritty, grimy.
Well, and even his quest had this sort of doomed.
Well,
sense.
It was a forbidden quest.
Yeah,
basically. You're hunting down Lucifer, basically.
Well, death, but yeah,
and the masks, and it was a really cool story to tell.
It was really cool. As far as the two, would I suggest someone said, "Hey, should I play Lords of Shadow or should I play Bloodborne?" I think I would tell them to play Bloodborne because it captures the atmosphere more than Lords of Shadow.
I think Lords of Shadow, it's almost like it wants to be a God of War type game.
Yeah.
In the brawling and the fighting and stuff like that. But then, atmospherically, it does share a lot of similar things with Bloodborne.
Yeah. Well, the gothic side of it all. Mm-hmm. And even in the story that it tells.
Yeah.
The story has some similarities.
Yes.
Awesome.
So,
closing thoughts. Why do you think it's called Bloodborne?
I think it's called Bloodborne because everything in the game obviously revolves around blood, but this whole world came to be because these ancient.
I gotta stop for 1 second. Amazing artwork.
Oh yeah,
on this screen.
I love it. They have a statue of that.
It's beautiful.
Of the dude standing there with the gun and the saw cleaver, and I want it.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's a creepy, creepy. Dark,
it's creepy. It's
gothic
spooky.
way.
It's awesome.
It's hitting that vibe that Diablo hits for me.
Yeah,
that the forbidden gothicness of it all.
And I think that's why this game deserves a spot on our list because it's a game that when I bought it, I knew I would like it. Mm-hmm. What I didn't expect was that I would fall in love with it.
Right.
I would just be so drawn into the atmosphere, to the aesthetic of it, to the sound design, everything about it.
It's a very well done game.
Just look at this.
Look at
this foggy area,
and
this
weird
the
spider leg.
Yeah,
of it all. It's like the human fly type.
Yeah, it's creepy. It's creepy.
Makes my skin crawl.
So I think it's called Bloodborne because everything that's happened in this game was born of blood of the cosmic beings. And I think that's the basic idea of it, is everything that's going on in this game, all the tools at your disposal, all the beasts that are roaming around,
Well, and I think it's interesting, you said the legit ending, you actually...
You ascend.
You ascend above all of that. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of born out of the blood of this world into a new one, which is really an interesting concept. Yeah. As far as Christian ideas and all of that kind of stuff, it plays on all those kinds of themes,
which is cool because the director of the game, Miyazaki, he's stated before that he's very intrigued by Christianity theology. And so you see that in a lot of his games, but it's a very Eastern understanding of Western theologies.
Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah, that is
you
cool.
know, it puts an interesting little perspective on it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and even like with the resurrection, you're not really being resurrected.
Right.
Well, I guess technically you kind of are. If you're in a dream, you're just being reset. But there is kind of that idea of, you know, the blood, the blood echoes, and all of that.
The blood cleanses the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a very Christian idea.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting to have like these core values of our existence, so to speak, for people in America.
Yeah.
I would say that the idea of blood cleansing and Christ and all of that is pretty core to what we experience. And to see that in a game like this taken to an extreme of, we say through the blood of Christ, we say through all of that in our religious ceremonies, and here we have a church who went two different ways, of which, you know, the blood heals you or the blood can enlighten you, which we kind of believe in both.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm speaking in general terms.
Right.
And to see that taken to this extreme of it can kind of turn you into a monster is interesting commentary. You know,
well, it's definitely.
Oh, this is where you fight the
big spider.
The big spider.
Yeah, we've played this before, I think. So
I think it's interesting to think of all of these things as maybe, you know, religious fanatics. I mean, we're even looking at like, now I know this is going like beyond the conversation, but looking at like ISIS and and all of those. You know, when you take a religious belief to an extreme and you drench yourself in that theology, does it turn you into a monster?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that the game kind of explores those ideals. Because even like the founder of the church, what is his name? Wilhelm? What was his name?
Yeah.
You know, what happened to him when they found the old blood? What does it tell you?
Okay, no, it wasn't Wilhelm. Wilhelm is the one who sought insight. He's not the one who went off and formed the church. So he stayed. He was actually. This area right here that we're in, before we jumped off that balcony, he's sitting there in a rocking chair off to the side, just staring at the moon.
Wilhelm is.
Wilhelm is.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he's gone blind because of all the insight he's tried to consume, basically. So he's kind of gone the insanity route.
Okay.
What was that? Was it Alfred?
I don't remember.
Anyway, his student was the
This
one
monster
who went
is
off.
so creepy.
Yeah, it's spooky.
Vacuous spider.
The vacuous spider.
Creepy.
Which is interesting because later in the
Everything's
game
wrong.
you fight a boss called Ebriatus, and it's one of the Left Behind great ones who's hidden underneath the main church. And the corpse of this spider is on an altar there that she's worshipping, which is creepy. It's really spooky. And it doesn't really give you much explanation as to why. It leaves you to wonder about what these beings are doing, you know, what their motivations are. So, you know, but I like what you're saying about, you know, it has this very Christian concept of blood, you know, the healing blood of Christ, you know, and even though Christ isn't in the game, obviously, it takes those concepts and then paints it with a very grotesque brush, which is really cool to me.
Kind of taking it to an extreme.
Yeah.
It is really
well, and I think, you know, we see a lot of very early, you know, very Catholic imagery, you know, with the cathedrals,
there are,
with the
and
church cloaks,
even
you know.
the sculptures. I mean, they're mutilated.
Yeah,
but they are very Catholic.
Yeah, very, you know, the praising arms lifted up to the sky,
as Roman would say, they were worshiping the water.
Worshiping the water,
but.
It has a
lot of religious iconography in this game. You know, even the idea of like ringing a bell for help.
Yeah,
it's kind of a religious. You know, you're ringing the church bells.
Well, and there's even a lot of talk about incense. You know, people use incense to mask their scent from the beasts. You know, and incense is obviously a huge part of the rituals of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And even the hunters themselves have a very crusader, holy warrior type vibe.
That's. I was just going to say they are very much a crusader type archetype, which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and
because I can't think of another game. I mean, there's lots of games that explore the themes of Christianity.
Right.
I mean, even Chrono Trigger kind of plays that whole Chrono is Christ kind of thing going on. But this game's interesting to me because it takes that idea of the blood of Christ is the ultimate healing tool and kind of flips it on its head and it's like, okay, well, what if the blood wasn't good for you? You know, what if too much of the blood turned you into something monstrous?
Yeah. You know, and I think one of the coolest thing about this game is it never comes out and specifically says it doesn't ever specifically identify evil or even good for that matter. It just identifies.
Well, yeah, it doesn't seem like there is an idea of good or evil.
It's very ambiguous. I mean, you're it's basic survival. I mean, you're fighting because these things are attacking you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very even, you know, when you go and fight the great ones, the cosmic beings, they're not necessarily evil. It's just they exist and operate on a different plane of intelligence.
Well, and to flip that on, did you just die?
I'm getting my blood sucked.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, see, that was a frenzy meter. See, I'm going insane right now.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's interesting.
Boom.
And there you go. You know, that's interesting because we aren't really given a whole lot of backstory here on our character. We don't really know his motivation. He could be the evil one. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know.
We don't see the world from the side of the Elder Gods.
Yep.
They could have prophecies about your character to, you know, he's the end of the world has come. And
the Doombringer.
Yeah. You know, so it's interesting. There's a lot of themes obviously I can't talk too much in depth about it because I haven't actually played the game.
Right.
But my initial experience with it is that it's kind of playing with a lot of those beliefs that we, as a general public, hold dear.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem to be somewhat of a commentary on our modern day. You know, these religious fanatics. What happens when you become a religious fanatic?
And I think that's a cool thing of gaming because I don't think the game developers came out to specifically.
Oh, I don't either.
With the
okay,
idea.
So this is one of the
cutscenes.
Creepiest.
Yeah.
So creepy. I just want to.
I mean, obviously, it's a woman who's experienced some trauma associated with childbirth.
Yes.
I mean, she's got the bloody wound, and you see her again in the game.
Oh, do you really?
And
she
you
comes
fight,
back.
Yeah. And you go up and you fight what's called Marigo's wet nurse. So basically, Marigo is one of the great ones who impregnated the Queen of Yarnum. Who that is? Yeah, and as a surrogate to give birth to a new great one, an infant great one. But because she's human, there's a complication there, and humans can't quite handle that process. But it's creepy.
So that's even more interesting because I mean it's playing kind of on the whole birth of Christ.
Yeah, I mean
motif.
It's interesting.
So the game's kind of taken on a little bit more depth for me in our conversation because I didn't know that part of it.
Yeah, that's another aspect of it.
Interesting. Anyway, keep going.
So yeah, it was one of the coolest boss fights because you fight. It's called Marigo's Wet Nurse, but it's basically this cloaked figure with multiple arms carrying blades. And as you fight it,
because a wet nurse would have blades.
Well, as you fight it, it moves, and how it moves, and the music that's playing, it's kind of a tinkling bell sound. It's like a baby mobile.
Really?
Yeah, and it's
spooky.
Spooky. But,
so talk a little bit about the Blood Moon.
So the Blood Moon is as the night advances. So you start out.
So we're on the night of the hunt.
Yes.
Right. I mean it's a specific time. The world is not this way all the time.
Right. There's day.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, we're on the night of the hunt, so it's the Pell Moon, and then the Blood Moon comes.
Not to be confused with the Wild Hunt.
Right. And so the Blood Moon comes, and it basically ushers in that this is when all the cosmic beings that are hanging around are kind of revealed.
Okay.
Because...
So it's kind of a sign that they're
coming
back,
merging.
they're visiting? Or?
Yeah, they're being revealed. They've been there the whole time.
Oh, okay.
But they're revealing themselves now, and you either join them or go crazy, type of thing.
Okay.
So
interesting. So is there, towards the end of the game,
the Blood Moon sets.
Yes. And that's one of the endings. You survive the night of the hunt, and you awaken to a new day.
And everything's fine.
Yes.
Like, the world is normal.
Basically normal. As normal as it can be.
Right.
So.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. I definitely think it's an experience. Sign of the End Times, maybe, is what Dragon Quest said. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking kind of, not really an apocalypse, so to speak, but just kind of a harrowing.
Things are changing, yeah.
A harrowing of the souls of the people. And it definitely, just watching these clips and talking about the game has made me think. And I think any game that can do that without even really fully playing the game is an experience worth having.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way about The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
That game, I mean, even just the first 15 minutes of that game makes me reevaluate my life. Which, anytime a game can do that, it definitely deserves a place on our list, right? And I think this game does make you question some of your beliefs. It makes you think about, not question them as like, I believe wrong or anything, but your preconceived notions of people, I think is the word I want to use. Because it is giving you some, not directly, obviously the game isn't saying, hey, you should think about this, but I think there are enough subtle nods to Christian beliefs and stuff to make you stop and say, it's an interesting take on the motif, so to speak. And
it makes you approach things from a little bit different perspective and kind of widens your understanding a little bit.
Well, and there's such a taboo of drinking blood and just blood in general. There's such a stigma that we have when someone talks about bloody and all of that and childbirth and all of it. It's very graphic.
But
that a game that embraces that, I think, is a bit, and not embraces that as in Postal or Dead Rising,
right? No, not just bloodletting for the sake of bloodletting,
but actual embraces the idea of the
importance of blood.
Yeah, the importance of blood in our lives is a very interesting and refreshing take on the subject, I think.
Well, it's a smarter, it's a more intellectual game for that.
Yeah.
Because it's willing to go there.
It's willing to. Dragon Quest, it may have Antichrist tones to it. I don't think the game sets out to negate or even say that they were wrong to explore the idea of healing by the blood. It was just a side effect of doing it too much.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I didn't get the vibe that there were anti-Christian.
No,
themes in the game.
Playing this game, I never got that feeling that this is a satanic game or an antichrist game.
Well, I don't even think that Dragon Quest is saying antichrist, but more just saying that the religious side of it is too much. I think it strikes a very fine balance, and again, I have a very small.
I think it walks an ambiguous line.
Yeah,
it's like this is what's going on. You interpret it how you want.
Yeah, you make the decision.
And I love when games do that. That's what Silent Hill does. That's why I love the Silent Hill series.
Yeah,
it doesn't give you an answer.
Yeah,
it gives you evidence towards an answer and lets you come up with it on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why it's worth studying out and experiencing. I'll go play Arkham City. I know what Arkham City wanted to tell me.
Yeah.
I play Bloodborne. I'm going to keep thinking about Bloodborne.
Right.
So
because there is so many layers.
Yeah.
And to go back to the games on our list, that's how I feel about Planescape Torment, which we need to play one night. But that game, when I play that game and make the decisions in that game, or even more mainstream, let's talk Mass Effect. The decisions to who do you save and who do you sacrifice, they stick with you with those types of games, and anytime that you're forced to experience something that is ambiguous, it's going to stick with you. You're going to think about it. And I think this game does that beautifully.
Yeah.
And in a beautiful setting, and which is odd because it's a very graphic setting.
Yes.
But I don't see this violence as oh, we're going to throw this blood in. And
yeah, it's not violent for the sake of being violent.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we need to make this an end game. We need to throw as much blood in this as we can.
I think they wanted you to feel the consequences of your actions, you know? I mean, when you rip a monster apart, they wanted you to feel like, okay, you just killed this monster.
This is what's happening.
Because it was attacking you, but, I mean...
Still
a very visceral reaction.
Yeah. And I love that that's what they named that attack, is the visceral attack, you know?
Oh, I can see. I see what you're saying, Dragon Crate. So he says, no, he means the Great Ones reveal at the night of the hunt might have had antichristic tones, not the entire game. I can see where you're saying. I can see that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kind of a, Four Horsemen.
Yeah, it's like that idea of what the church in this game thought was going on.
Right.
Or at least people who attended the church thought was going on when the blood moon comes and things start to be revealed. It's like, okay, there's something bigger at play. It's not as clear cut as we expected.
Yeah, exactly.
So
interesting. So you would put it on the list?
Yeah.
Which means we'll have to have the discussion of what game leaves.
Which one are we kicking off?
Which one are we kicking off? It's a good question. Yeah. Tune in on Tuesday.
That's right.
Well, anything else you want to talk about before we end?
I think I'm good for tonight.
Awesome. Okay. Dragon Craze, thank you for joining us. Yeah. Joe Vance, it's always a pleasure to have you.
We appreciate it.
Yes, we love having your guys' input as we discuss these things, and hopefully you enjoy the new format. We're going to try and stick to this format of talking about experiences and not really rating the game. I mean, we don't want to rate games. Mm-hmm. We want to talk about experiences and themes and how they make us feel.
Yes.
Because we believe that gaming is worthy of examination.
Agree.
That's Game Ledger. Thanks for joining.
We'll see you guys.
See you next time.